side of that, again, water is a cycle. So there's clean water and then there's used water. There's water that has already been used, but that needs to be turned back into clean water to be turned back into drinking water. So if we're again unable to be able to flush our toilets, after Superstorm Sandy came through along the East Coast a few years ago, we were left with some utilities that were completely flooded and they weren't able to do anything. And that's when you saw, again, news headlines for all the wrong reasons, when a utility is totally unable to do anything. And they're like, yeah, you see that the manhole cover is just kind of overflowing and bubbling up, either backing up into people's houses or overflowing into the streets. And the ability to, not treat dirty water, not treat human fecal contaminated water, it leads to all sorts of human health diseases. So
yeah, it's kind of like a circular going on.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why I said, water is life in so many ways. And that's one of the phrases that we really use in our industry, because you need clean, potable water for drinking, and you need sanitation to treat that contaminated water, that used water, back into clean water again, both for the environment and for human health. So thankfully there are some initiatives, some grassroots initiatives that are already going on. Like I said, one of them is Imagine a Day Without Water. It takes, and there's all sorts of infographics, and it gives you an idea of how much water it takes in, say, food production. How many gallons of water it takes to grow and process one single apple. And once you start looking at numbers like that, you're like, wow, okay, everybody is kind of taught, oh, turn off the water when you're brushing your teeth when you don't actively need it, stuff like that from the time that you're a young age. But when you start getting into realizing how much water it takes in food processing, how much water it takes in making clothing, that's when you really start to get into sustainability and the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs.
Yes.
So that is something that, SDG 6 is water and sanitation for all. And, you want to talk about a grassroots movement and really eye-opening information, go to the website for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Look at SDG 6, look at the metrics that they have on there. I mean, even something like COVID, yeah, okay, everybody needs to, wash their hands and all of this stuff. Well, imagine if you don't have clean water to wash your hands in.
That's even worse.
And just something like that, something as simple as, oh, wow, okay, well, how many times did I wash my hands because I was afraid that I touched something with COVID on it? Well, what if I no longer had access to clean water?
Oh my goodness.
Something as simple as that change can be mind-blowing.
Absolutely. So, we live in the modern society with gas, electricity, water. We kind of like ignore those necessity now, because it's just like
it's taken for granted. Yeah, it's out of sight, out of mind. And unfortunately, it's sometimes, sorry, I have fire and ambulances going by. It unfortunately takes a catastrophic event to shock us into, oh, wow, yeah, we should be caring about this. Like you said, with COVID, like, oh, yeah, we always care about this. No, now we need to really understand about this. We need to really care. We need to really do something. And unfortunately, as climate change continues to be a factor, as the earth continues to warm, more places are being subject to droughts, out in California, even out in Arizona, you guys know what you're dealing with. I mean, there's this stigma of, okay, well, toilet to tap. Well, okay, well, unless you have another source of water, well, guess what? We're going to have to treat that wastewater to a point where it is drinkable, which is possible. I've had it out in Singapore. There are some places around the United States that are already doing it. It's awesome. So it's getting over that stigma. And I think the grassroots movement for raising awareness are there. There are, like I said, there are several people who are
working on that,
equally as passionate, who are working on it. I think what needs to change is the public perception of utilizing multiple sources of water as being a potential drinking or clean water source. That's what needs to change, because the technology is being actively developed. That's something that companies are working on regardless of what the regulations are. But what needs to change is the public understanding and the public perception of it. So if we're able to get that toilet to tap stigma out of the way, if we're able to look at water as a cycle instead of, oh, this is fresh water from the aquifer. Well, guess what? That fresh water was dinosaur pee a few million years ago. Like, deal with it. That water is a global cycle. There is no new water being created. Like, it's already been there. It's already been used by something else before. Just you don't know about it.
That's
So
interesting fact.
that's right. So that's the grassroots movement I think that we do still need on, because water technologies are being developed. That grassroots movement is already well known.
Right.
Within the water industry, the desire for protecting water jobs, for being able to, even in President Biden's infrastructure bill, we need more money going to water technologies. I think the biggest thing, we have people working on that. We have grassroots movements working on that. The biggest thing is just getting the public over the fact that there isn't going to be a new wellspring of crystal clear, pristine, never touched water before. That needs to be a grassroots focus. And that's something that, yes, as a water technologist, as somebody in the water industry, I'm able to work on, but I'm already amenable to that idea. I'm not, average Joe public who's like, ew, that was previously toilet water. Yes, but I also understand the technology. So we need a grassroots movement on that part coming from the actual residents in that area, saying, yes, we will accept reclaimed water. We will accept, water that has been treated to extreme standards, where, yes, it may have entered this facility as being flushed down a toilet. It may have entered the facility as wastewater, but then it was processed in dozens of different ways so that when it comes back out, it can be put right back into the aquifer, mixed with what's already there, pumped out, and hey, that's drinking water.